Welcome to Leadership in Action. I'm your host, Dr. Vishnu Doerga, and this is a show where we dive deep into the minds and missions of the Caribbean's boldest leaders. Today, we're joined by Shawn Gurcharran, Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry, with over 2 decades of experience in banking and finance. He has held key roles, including Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Chief Executive Officer at GBTI. Shawn holds an MBA with a specialization in finance and is a fellow of both the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and the Corporate Governance Institute. So, Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Were you always very inspired by dollar signs, or what caused your focus on the banking and finance sector?
Actually, when I was in school, I did really well in science, and I remember when we had to stream, and I decided to do the business subjects. A lot of teachers said, why would you go down that road? But I found that numbers came to me quite naturally, and understanding how numbers operate and how it's all part of the bigger picture came very easy to me, and so far that choice has paid off fairly well.
And how did you transition into the banking sector?
Well, actually, I started out in auditing from a very accounting background, and then I started as internal auditor for one bank in Guyana. And then over time, I moved across to being part of that management and then part of finance, and then where I am today.
Very good, very good. What's your definition of leadership?
A borrowed definition for me would be one that says leadership is all about influence. And that is how I've taken leadership to mean, and I've set about to doing things. It's the ability to influence those around you in a way that helps them achieve some of the things that they're planning to do. It is influencing the people, the processes all around you in a direction heading towards an objective.
That requires a really strong mindset. What's a daily habit or mindset that keeps you grounded?
Um, I think consistency is key. I try to get up at 5 every day, spend some time in prayer, try to do some thinking, and just continue the day from there. And I believe those quiet moments provide a lot of perspective. It provides a lot of reflection, but it also helps you to set the day ahead and what you can do. I believe in long-term planning, but I also believe every long-term plan is a combination of every day. And if you start every day with a clear focus and understand what is the need to accomplish today towards that long-term goal, things fall into place more nicely.
Falling into place is a good way to put it, because you mentioned you started off in science, you're really good at numbers, you went down that banking path. Was there a pivotal career moment that has shaped your vision, and what is that vision now, if we ask you today?
It's a good question. I think for me, the vision for me is about leaving a legacy, that when my time to retire or move on to what's next. And as I look back, I can be proud of making an impact and making a positive impact in whatever it is you do, whether it be work, whether it be social matters, whether it be in your family life. You must be able to look back and reflect and be comfortable with the legacy that you've left and the mark that you've left on this world. I look at life as a tremendous blessing, but it's also an opportunity to do something with that what you've been given. So for me, it is really to leave that legacy that is worthwhile of that which you've been entrusted.
How do you really balance that long-term vision, that big vision, with these short-term, day-to-day pressures?
There's a nice saying that says the longest journey begins with a single step. And I think it's important that not everything that we do will always be profitable, and we got to be real. But we must be consistent in what we do. We must be focused in what we do. And yes, it's good to keep your eyes on the long prize, but understand that that long prize is really, as I said, is a combination of daily activities to get you there. And you try to pay attention to both at the same time.
You sound like someone who had mentors. I'm going to ask you, who were your mentors or role models on your leadership path?
I believe leadership is a little bit of God-given. And I've found that quite a lot for leadership comes to me naturally. But I've spent a fair bit of time reading. John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors. But along the way, you pick up things from different authors. I read a really nice book about execution. Jim Collins' Great by Choice is one I'll always remember, because in that book, he talked a lot about being consistent every day and doing the simple things every day. Instead of looking for a cannonball, he said, just shoot pellets every day. And keep shooting those small pellets will help you get the same effect over time.
Yeah, I remember when we attended a session more than 10 years ago with Jim Collins, and it was about his book, From Good to Great.
From good to great, yeah.
And he told us that, some of us don't read that book yet. He plans to write another book. He said that book is going to be named From Crap to Okay. And then we're going to go from okay to good and then good to great, because sometimes our life isn't the way we want it to be, and we just have to get ourselves out of that place first. So what's one piece of advice, and you did mention the books, that really guides you every single day?
I think it's important that you stay true to who you are. Business can eat you up at times, but it's important that you know your values and you establish your value system early on in anything that you do. You set your objectives, you set your goals, but also be willing to pivot. Willing that sometimes life will throw a curveball at you, and you have to be able to still survive and keep batting on, and understand that I believe in God, and I believe that all things are ordained by Him. And understand that if you put your trust and your confidence in Him, things will work out. So be consistent, have faith, and always be willing to pivot.
Very good. Good advice for self-development. You are the leader of GBTI. How do you mentor or develop talent in your organization?
I think it's important as part of any talent development is you build relationships. One of the things I've always said is your first conversation with someone or a mentoree or anybody within the organization should not be a bad one. If you're a part of my team, my first conversation with you shouldn't be a reprimand. I should have been building a relationship with you throughout, so that when it comes to having a difficult conversation, it's not so difficult. So for me, leadership and mentoring, it's all about building relationships with people around you, be genuine, and demonstrate that consistent care with those around you. And I believe as you set that foundation and you set those key pillars as a leader, you will see good results.
I usually replace the word difficult conversation with necessary conversation. But many of us as leaders, also face this thing called imposter syndrome or self-doubt, especially the first time we end up in a position we were never in before. How do you advise that people handle that? How have you handled that, if you have in the past?
I believe that we all will make attempts at different things, and you have to allow yourself the leniency to fail. There's no person who will ever tell you they got everything right all the time. And I believe as you go into certain ventures and you go into certain decisions, with that understanding that there is a possibility here that I might fail at this, but that's okay. There's something else that you can try to do, and you can keep going at it. And if you pattern yourselves too often on other leaders, you forget who you are. So it's important that you're true to yourself and just follow your natural instincts, and they never lead you astray.
Very good, very good. And if we could just go back to your younger self when you were at that cross section of science and numbers, what advice would you give your younger self now, at the start of your career?
I would probably say to myself, you thought too hard about the choice. Things tend to work out either way. What you need those disciplines. Whether you chose to do science or you choose to do business, discipline, consistency, follow your dreams, follow your heart, and be willing to work hard.
I think that's a good lesson, because it's not that we don't know it, but actually making the time and doing it consistently. It's like going to the gym, right? You can't go one day and be fit for life. You have to keep at it. Let's switch a little bit into innovation. How do you foster innovation in a very highly regulated industry? You're in the most regulated industry in this country.
Yeah, it's tough. But I think there's always room to innovate, even within the regulations that we have. And regulations are important, are essential for banks and other financial institutions to survive. But a key part of innovation is really to listen, understand what the need is. And that is why we spend a lot of time talking to our clients, understand, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? We take that back and then we come together as a team and say, how could we meet that need? What is it we can come up with that's within the regulations, that's within good banking practice, that's safe to meet that need of the customer? So innovation is continuous. If you think that you've met every need and your time is done, that's a recipe for disaster. So it's continuous. You always have to keep going back, understand there's a changing market and the markets are drastically changing, and be willing to keep listening, keep learning, and keep doing things differently.
When you hear words like digital transformation, artificial intelligence, fintech, how is GBTI under your leadership dealing with all of this, and what do you want to bring to our society when it comes to really stepping up the use of these technologies?
One of our key objectives as an institution is to stay relevant. Staying relevant means you are aware of all the developments that's happening, whether it's AI, whether it's fintech, digital transformation. We must remain relevant for us to be sustainable. So our role is to ensure we understand what is happening on the market, understand what these new developments are, and then understand how could we onboard this to be a better service to our clients. How could we take this idea, work with it, present something to our clients that can add value to their lives and can add value to us as a financial institution.
And you mentioned, adding lives to the people that you come in contact with, that real people first approach. Can you tell me, the story of a customer without naming the customer, but their success that really moved you?
Um, I remember there was this one client who had a great idea and importantly was willing to work with us. And we helped them pull together a good plan, bring everything together. They took advice from good experts in the relevant field. And they ventured out with our support and with their knowledge. And they were successful. And they came back and said, I had an idea, but with the work of us collaborating together, we turned that idea into something. And it was something that seemed fairly simple, but the successes that they have enjoyed because they were willing to collaborate and willing to listen and willing to work together was the key ingredient that really made them successful. We hear stories like that all the time, whether it be from somebody who wants to buy a car or somebody who wants to build a home or somebody starting a business. But they have this thing that they want to accomplish and they're willing to come in, talk to us, work with us, and we can work along with them to help that to come to pass.
And it's like fuel as well, right? Every time you see that works well.
Yes.
What about from a community impact? We used to call it CSR, now it's ESG, but what are you particularly proud of when it comes to GBTI's corporate social responsibility?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit. And I think being a local bank, that bemoans us to be a lot more involved. One of the old ones that we have is the Buxton Steel Orchestra, something that we've loved being a part of, and you enjoy the music you're produced. We have worked with vulnerable groups such as single women in the past. We've worked with the indigenous people. We had a nice product called Rupununi Ventures. Our Grow initiative, again, is something there to us that is near and dear, especially to me, because it's easy to make money by just concentrating on big businesses. But that sector, we have to nurture those sectors that are now starting up because those small businesses of today are going to be large in a very short period of time in the economy that we currently operate in. So it's just about looking at to see how we can contribute to society. We've done lots of partnerships with the Georgetown Hospital for early screening for infants for a number of sicknesses. We continuously give to various charitable organizations and ventures, even like some of the partnerships we've done with you, is really our way of giving back and seeing how we can work with folks in Guyana to really enliven their livelihood.
Very good. And in Guyana, we are very much exposed to what banking looks like in the Caribbean. A lot of people visit Suriname, Trinidad, Jamaica. And also, we get bombarded with US television and we see what banks offer there. What is, if you have this crystal ball and you were to look at what is banking like in the future for Guyana, what are you seeing?
Banking in the future in Guyana will be different. the push that the world is moving towards digital adaptation and digitalization of everything that we do will change banking drastically. I think the opportunity that presents itself for bankers as well as clients is we can leapfrog some of the stages of development and really opt into what's most updated. We don't need to go through those learning pains. And as we're coming out of not doing things as efficiently and as technology influenced as we should have been doing, now that the market can really make a good case for it, I believe Guyana will be one of the countries where banking will really be leading edge of technology, leading edge of customer service in a way that is very digital and very importantly efficient. A lot of times, I know people complain that banks in Guyana are old, very archaic in some of the things that we do. Some of that is valid, and there are good reasons for it. But I believe in the years to come, we'll see an evolving banking sector that's really more in tune with technology, more in tune with more efficiencies.
We do have the opportunity to leapfrog some of the technologies, so we don't need to go in a linear path like.
We can learn from the best in the world, and we can also push even the best in the world to get better.
Where do you see GBTI 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I see GBTI continue being a strong market leader, hoping that that market goes beyond the shores of Guyana with the preeminence that Guyana is now getting as a nation. It only flows naturally that strong local companies like GBTI and some of the other national brands that we have can expand beyond these shores. And in 5 years, I think that's quite possible.
I was just about to ask you, what other guidance could you provide to the other banks, the other big companies in Guyana, Guyanese companies, to ensure that they can follow GBTI on this path to service and delivery?
I think it's important that you start building capacity now and build capacity for years to come. Expect the economy to continue to grow, expect our population to grow, expect Guyana as a nation and the prominence that comes with that to grow. But with that comes opportunities to expand regionally, internationally. So think about that even now as you're building. You build capacity for business, build capacity today for business that will come tomorrow.
Yeah. What's one goal that you're working on personally as a CEO?
Retire shortly. As CEO, for me, it is to ensure that success is common throughout the bank and through all our stakeholders, whether it be our clients, our team members, our shareholders. That success is shared, and everybody walks away being happy, being a part of the GBTI family.
Good, good. And I know that it sounds simple, but it's probably not easy doing that on a day-to-day basis. So how do you stay inspired every single day?
I think you look at every day as an opportunity. And it can be difficult to motivate yourselves to do every day to go at it again. But if you look at every day as an opportunity to do something different, we just had a session and I told the group that when I graduated in 1999, that song was Wear Sunscreen, a Baz Luhrmann song. And he said, do something every day that scares you. And for me, that is key. Every day, be willing to take an opportunity on something that really scares you or makes you think a little bit and avoid getting stuck in a routine.
Yeah. We've had a really good conversation. What is something that I did not ask you about, but people would be surprised if they know about you?
I actually like quiet, slow time. I think sometimes I'm two extremes where very busy doing multiple things at the same time, but I do really enjoy just shutting down and doing absolutely nothing for about an hour or so.
Recharge.
Yeah.
And then this particular show is really focused on highlighting role models, leaders in our society, particularly so that youngsters who are now at that cross section of where you were on making a choice, hey, what do I want to do personally, and do I even want to do it in Guyana?
Right.
I want you to just talk to them for a moment and give them your best possible advice, given everything you've seen in the last 2 decades, that they can take into consideration as they make their big decisions.
They are big decisions, but break down every big decision into multiple small decisions and understand that life will give you more than one opportunity to do well. And you may get some of those decisions wrong, but there is another opportunity that will come in. Don't be too hard on yourself, especially when you're young and you make choices that in hindsight weren't the best. Know that other opportunities will come and give yourselves that chance to make use of another opportunity. I've seen people who made one wrong choice and just give up on life. Life is about opportunity. Every day that you're alive is an opportunity to do something and do something good.
For those leaders, are there any ways in which your organization, any ways in which they can tap into your organization for guidance or support, or does that exist?
Oh, it does. Our group of credit professionals, from a financing standpoint, can help you out. Whatever your dreams are, coming to us, let us talk. If it's something about managing your income you need help on, a number of our folks can sit down with you and talk you through a number of investment options that we have. Within our group, we also have the Guyana Merchant Bank that can help you if you want to trade in stocks and bonds and shares throughout the world. We can be a part of that. So we are very consultative in our approach and what we do. We encourage people to, banks in the world try to get people out. Our approach is different. We ask you to come in and talk to us. There are things you can do the regular stuff online. You can do all of that. But come in, let's hear about what are your plans, and let's see how best we can guide you and advise you within ourselves, our related companies. But come in and let's have a chat.
Shawn, thank you so much for sharing a part of your journey with us today, and I'm sure that the audience would have taken this in and can now make some better decisions as well. That's where better decisions come from, better information. And I encourage you to keep doing fantastic work, keep making a massive impact, and that we're building a fantastic Guyana. You're playing your part in this. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. That wraps up an insightful episode with Mr. Shawn Gurcharran, a leader in blending innovation, strategy, and heart to drive Guyana's banking sector forward. If you enjoyed this conversation, follow Leadership in Action, share it with your network, and stay tuned for more voices shaping the Caribbean's future. Until next time, keep leading with clarity and purpose.